evening, the new Time Travel Behind Me 88. I'm back with another Doctor Who DVD review. Tonight, we're going to look at Doctor Who, the movie, special edition. This is the best television movie. It is fun to watch. Yeah, it is great. Anyway, this review was requested by Andre Grendel. Thank you very much for the request. Yes. This television movie originally transmitted on May 14th, 1996. However, the UK will not follow until May 27th, 1996. Yeah. This story introduced the Paul McGann as the Doctor, and with the last appearances of Sylvester McCoy as the Doctor. The film opened up as the Master has been tried on Skaro and found guilty of a list of evil crimes. His death sentence at the hands of the Dalek has been carried out. His last wish was for Remain to be returned to Gallifrey by his arch enemy, the Doctor, currently in his 7th incarnation. During the trip back to Gallifrey, in the Doctor's TARDIS, vessel shakes, causing the box containing the Master Remain to shatter and allowing the sense ooze to escape. The ooze entered the TARDIS console, forced an emergency landing in Chinatown in San Francisco, California on New Year's Eve, 1999. The Doctor steps out of the TARDIS to find his bearing. He is shot by the street gang who has been chased down Chang Li, a young Chinese-American man. Lee calls for the ambulance and the Doctor rushes to a nearby hospital. The surgeon found through X-ray that the Doctor has 2 hearts, but they assume the X-ray image is a double exposure. As cardiologist, Dr. Grace Holloway starts to operate with the cardiac probe. The Doctor wakes up and tells her that he needs a better atomic clock, and he falls into a seizure. Eventually flatlined. Holloway declares the Doctor's dead, and his body is placed into the morgue. Lee steals the Doctor's possession, including the TARDIS key, and runs off. Meanwhile, the ooze has been stolen itself away on the ambulance, attacks and takes over the body of the ambulance driver. When Bruce's wife questioned his odd behavior, the Master now controlling his body and murders her. Later that night, the Doctor regenerates into a new body and leaves the morgue in a state of confusion, donning parts of his costume intended for the New Year's Eve party that night. That's a similar fault Doctor looking into his clothes is similar to the episode John Pertwee story, Spearhead from Space. He follows Dr. Hollow as she leaves the hospital and convinces her that he is the same man when she operated on early. Dr. Holloway, who was resigned from her job at the hospital after the hospital covering up the Doctor's presence there, takes the Doctor home. Meanwhile, Lee has returned to the TARDIS with the key and entered the time machine. The Master soon arrives afterwards and tells Lee that the Doctor stole the TARDIS from him as well as his body. He wants to retrieve. He convinced Lee to open the Eye of Harmony. Thanks to his human retinal pattern, the Doctor recovers from this memory and tries to keep his own eyes shut to prevent the Master from seeing through them, as that would allow him to take over the Doctor's body. The Doctor also warned Dr. Holloway that if they do not shut the eyes before midnight, the entire planet may be sucked into it. And to close it, he needs the atomic clock. Dr. Holloway disbelieved the doctor intently when he demonstrated that the nature of reality is already changing by walking through the bay windows without breaking to him. She agreed to take him to a revealing of an atomic clock at San Francisco Institute of Technology Advancement and Research. They are giving a lift to the institute in the ambulance driven by Lee and the master, who the doctor does not yet recognize. However, when the master removed his sunglasses revealing non-human eyes, the doctor and Dr. Holloway abandoned the ambulance and steal a police motorbike, but not before the master is able to shoot Dr. Holloway's wrist with a strange bill-like fluid. At the institute, the doctor and Dr. Holloway managed to collect the integrated circuit chip with an atomic clock mechanism by subterfuge and make their way back to the TARDIS. Once there, the doctor is able to install the chip and close the eye, but discovered that the eye has been open far too long and that they must revert time before the eye was open to prevent the destruction of Earth. However, the doctor can route the power to the TARDIS. The master was able to use the bile arm Dr. Holloway's wrist to control her and force her to knock out the doctor. The doctor's change above the eye, his eyes forced to open so as to allow the master to take his remaining regeneration. When the doctor awakes, he tried to talk Lee out of the master spell, but it's no aid. However, the master lies to Lee in order to get him to open the eye again. However, the doctor tells Grace that she's using you. The master is using you. Then she slapped the doctor in the face. In order to get the eye open again, Lee refused, causing the master to break his neck. The master used his control of Dr. Holloway to open the eyes. Though this break his control of her, while the master began the process of transferring the doctor's remaining regeneration to him, Dr. Holloway is able to connect the last power stick into the console, sending the TARDIS into a time-holding pattern just for the moment after the turn of midnight, staving off the destruction of Earth. When Dr. Holloway tries to return to help the doctor, she is thrown over the balcony and killed by the master, but her interference was given the doctor enough time to push the master into the eye itself, apparently killing him. The action caused the eye to close and the time to revert back a few moments before midnight, bringing both Dr. Holloway and Lee back to life. As the three recover, they find the world is safe as Lee departs and returning the rest of Doctor's possessing. The doctor warns him not to be in San Francisco next year during the New Year's Eve. Then the doctor asks Dr. Holloway to travel with him to the TARDIS, but she politically refused and also leaves. The doctor returned to TARDIS and is piloted off their new journey. At the end, the doctor is listening to a classical music when a record breaks and saying, "Oh no, not again," and bangs the TARDIS console. Yes. Unfortunately, the television series did not help North American to bring back Doctor Who. However, the Seventh Doctor is wearing a different costume from the one he wore during his 1987 and 1989 turn to gone or the question mark pullover the umbrellas. The costume does include the original hat, which was actually owned by Sylvester McCoy. Yeah. They're referring to Dr. John Smith. Yeah. Anyway, let's take a look to the DVD features. Here's the still pictures from the movie. The doctor here's the symptoms. The doctor returning home to Gallifrey with the remains of his arch nemesis, the Doctor, forced off course. The TARDIS arrives in San Francisco on New Year's Eve 1999, where the Doctor is critically wounded in a gangland gun battle. At the local hospital, the Doctor, Grace Holloway, fights and fails to save the life. Later in the morgue, the Doctor wakes up a new man, but he's not only one. The Master also finds himself in a new body. As the clock counts down to the start of the new millennium, can the Doctor stop his oldest enemy from destroying all life on Earth? Here's the DVD commentaries. We had commentary by director Jeffrey Sachs from 2001. Actually, 2000, excuse me. Commentary 2 by actor Paul McGann and Sylvester McCoy, moderated by Nicholas Pegg. The 7-year Hitch, The Doctor Strange Love, Photo Gallery, Music Tracks. We had the bonus feature on Disc 2 with behind the scenes, electronic press kit, Philip Siegel tour the TARDIS, alternate takes, Who Peter, a documentary of Blue Peter, visual effects text, visual effects, March 1996, The Wildness Year, Strip for Action, Tomorrow's Time, The Eighth Doctor, presented by the late Nicholas Courtney. Here's Disc 1 and Disc 2. Now, one thing I noticed, the music is for this DVD is incorrect because the music is not right, because it heard it on the PAL mode version, but on the television 1996 they have the right music and the right NTSC. So I said, how in the world would they use the wrong music? I said, that's the PAL music, because in America, who lives out there on NTSC, that means they have the right music. When I heard it on Fox. Anyway, this movie was dedicated to the Jon Pertwee as the Doctor, the third Doctor, who died on May 9th, 1996, of a heart attack at the age of 96. Yeah. Perfect, isn't it? Well, anyway, it's been a long time since North America had this one, because they wouldn't release it in 2001. September 11, 2001, because due to some rights issue with the television movie, because it is distributed by Universal Television, and Universal finally had the rights and over to Warner Brothers, and that's why they had the movie. Anyway, that's it from here, and remember, you can rate, comment, and subscribe. Yes, as far as remember, if you have a Doctor Who DVD that you would like me to review it, just post a comment on it. Anyway, this is the new Time Travel Jaime 88 saying so long.